Everybody, good morning. Morning. Hey, Steve. Looks like John, General Rush, Jason, Joseph. Lots of J names this morning. Kevin Cliff. Steve again. What's up, everybody? Diane, Will, Brian, Chris, Ted, John, Mad, Svenborn, all the way from Iceland. Good to see everybody. Looks like that chat went on for a while. Hey, Goose up at the top there. Good to see everybody. Good to see everybody. Retail sales out this morning, and the market kind of don't really care. Don't really. We came right up under the resistance yesterday. Oh my gosh, so close. Man, oh man. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Welcome to the show, and I guess let's just get started, shall we? All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument. And if you desire personal financial advice, you need to hire consult a financial advisor. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what to do. So, let's recycle. Don't trade stocks. Don't trade options. Don't trade bonds. Don't trade futures. Don't trade cryptos. Don't trade treasuries. I missed one somewhere in there. There's 7. And don't trade them. There's a substantial risk of loss, right? Stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos. I think I've skipped forex. Don't trade them. All right. There's substantial risk of loss when you trade. Period. I mean, naive condition, buyer, seller, winner, loser, 50-50. If you don't have any kind of edge, and let's face it, it seems like it's more like 80-20. You're going to lose your money if you just buy something. I mean, it seems like the market's always watching us, right? I feel that way. Even when I get it right, I feel that way. Like, oh man, somebody's watching my platform. It's just human psychology. It's the way the markets work. You can get over it. And I guess this is why the market kind of shrugged. Look, this came in a little light right there. A lot of light right there. Core, little light right there. I told you, I thought we were going to come in light. So the market not really loving that. Unemployment claims came in a little spicy. I don't know why my thing is not silenced. Let's restart my headphones. And there we go. And Philly Fed coming in. What the heck? Forecast minus 5.2 and got 43. What? That's weird. How do you miss it that bad? I don't see any other. That's weird. That's an anomaly in the system. We went from negative last time to way positive, almost the highest we've ever been. Something's weird there. That's like virtually the highest we've ever been, and that just doesn't make like that. I don't know. Anybody got any comments on that? Let me know in the chat. That's just weird. Weird. And coming up tomorrow, we get some housing permits. This sometimes it depends on how the market's feeling, whether sometimes we get a reaction here. It's not that the numbers matter, but if the market needs an excuse, the financial media will pick these up as the excuse. And when they come out, they can, if the bots grab onto it, it can create volatility. If, like these bots just read this stuff and just react and then creates a cascade in the market. So we'll see what happens there. We're seeing housing kind of bleed off a little bit. I was talking about that, how the mortgage applications are declining, but also unsold speculation houses. This is houses that builders build to sell without having a buyer, no contract. They just buy a property, build a house, and expect a buyer to come. If you build it, they will come. More of those are sitting out there than have been in a long time. And I don't have that chart. I think I sent it to Goose, but I don't think I put it in the Stuff for Videos channel where I can load it up and show it to you. I don't think. Yeah, I didn't throw it in the. I didn't throw one in my videos channel, and I don't have time to dig it up for you at the moment because that was several days ago talking to Goose. So I don't know. There's a problem brewing. Some people are like, oh, it's just because of mortgages, and it's not just that. All right, these cracks were showing up 2 years ago. Yeah, we started raising rates back then, but the system, like, there's something. It's bigger than just residential mortgages. All right, it's commercial. It's the return to work thing, the work from home thing. It's this complicated mix, and it's different but similar to what we saw in 2008, 7, and 8. Yeah, all those properties that got left undeveloped, or back in 2007. It's hard for a lot of people to remember this. I work in this industry. I'm my other business, civil engineering. Lots of people came into building that had no business being builders. I mean, it's kind of like very, very similar. Reminds me on the bubble pattern when we get people talking about how we're all going to be rich, and we get these people talking about, hey, just buy Nvidia and SMCI if you want to make a ton of money. We see people that have no business talking about stocks giving you advice. Taxi drivers, gutter installers, people that fly airplanes. Just kidding with you, Goose. Stewardesses, people that don't fly the airplanes, just walk the aisles. We see all sorts of people talking about this right here. Well, that same kind of thing came into the housing back in 2007 and 8, and it started happening again in the last couple of years. I saw people that never developed anything start trying to jump into this game, and the people that have been in it for years have been struggling. And then it was kind of on the back of this Airbnb boom, right? Like all these people are buying houses, flipping them into Airbnbs. It's a very complicated thing right here. I think we might see an Airbnb shakeout. That's kind of why I'm like concerned about Airbnb stock when we look at it. I didn't really intend to go here this morning, but this is kind of where my mind is going this morning. Airbnb. Look at this. I mean, this thing was rocking and rolling, and then all of a sudden, we're not. I'm seeing, there were tons of investments, like even from Europe. There were investment groups, like family offices, long time, several 100-year-old family offices that were buying up housing in areas, like two larger ones that I know of had bought up lots of housing throughout the Southeast, around Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida. That kind of encompassed this South area. And all of a sudden they decided that due to the risks of increased maintenance, increased costs for that maintenance, increased taxes, maybe this isn't working. Maybe this isn't as profitable as they thought it was going to be. The management costs, being able to having to clean it and keep it all maintained. So they're looking at liquidating. I think it's something like 100,000 properties that they had for Airbnbs, and so you gotta kind of watch out. Like this could be a sign on the wall for Airbnb that maybe the experience in Airbnbs. You kind of hear. It's kind of like the commercials you see on TV. It's like you get them both ways. You get you see the Airbnb commercials. They're like, oh, you stay in a hotel. Your kid's bedtime is your bedtime. Okay. I didn't really go to a hotel I didn't travel with kids when I had kids. And then you look at the hotel thing. It's like, oh, you stay in an Airbnb. Maybe it comes with toilet paper. Maybe it doesn't. Or maybe it's cleaned and prepped and ready. And maybe it's just somebody's house and they just let you stay in the back room. I mean, it's kind of a coin flip. There's no quality standards across all Airbnbs, right? There's no, like when you stay in a Hilton, you're staying in a Hilton. You have a certain kind of expectation for that. You stay in the Hojo, you kind of expect, Hojo. Motel 6, you kind of expect Motel 6 no matter what you get. Airbnb, it's kind of a roll the dice, right? So are we as a society kind of, I mean, the attitude is the reviews kind of out those ones that are crappy, but who's going to be the first one for that? So, and then how much demand is there really for staying in Airbnbs? There's been some really nice ones I've heard about that, provide snacks and all sorts of stuff and cleaning and, this, that, and the other. And then there's other ones I've heard about that it's kind of a crap hole. Literally dirty laundry on the floor, no toilet paper, no dirty toilets. And I've heard about quite a gamut. So if those Airbnbs go on the market, does that alleviate some of the housing problem? It's a compounded problem. So, and then we also brought in tons of people that needed housing. So we'll see what happens, I guess. See what happens. That was the first move down, potentially. The next move down off of that high potentially could take us right in this zone. And if we get on down, we could go down here. So Airbnb kind of in a correction, looks like we need that. And maybe that. All right. Yeah, there you go, David. It's like during COVID, 100% occupied. The past 2 years, empty. Who's staying in the Airbnbs, It's like, I don't know. It's an interesting concept, but when you start looking at the little problems, the American, God bless us, we're cheap, right? We're cheap. We if you've got an investment property like an Airbnb type thing, you want to spend as little money as you possibly can and get people to stay there. It's the American way. It just is. It's the way we think about it. So, what makes you want to stay there, or what makes that a better experience than staying in just at the Hilton, where it's regulated and it has to be clean and you can, there's ramifications. So, and like you said, Captain J, good experiences, bad experiences, cleaning costs. So what it is these people that have been doing that, all of a sudden they're kind of freaking out. Like, oh man, we gotta try to make money because I gotta keep it clean. I gotta do this thing, that thing. But like, anybody rented a beach house? Beach house rentals have been going on for, as long as I've been alive. And there was no Airbnb. There's no VRBO to do it till more recently. They had cleaning fees. It was a good experience. So you just gotta be careful here. And I think there's something bigger coming down the pipe for housing. A client of mine, big, arguably my biggest housing clients. He said he hadn't sold a spec house in 6 months. That was a couple of weeks ago. 6 months, hadn't sold a single spec house. He's got a few sitting out there. So, yeah, take your camper and have your own bed. It's there's just different strokes for different folks. I don't travel much, so I've spent over a year of my life camping and kind of camped out at this point. Like I do love it, but I don't enjoy it nearly as much as I used to. So anyway, all right, moving on. Let's talk about what's moving today, shall we? S&P 500. I was talking about this, at the beginning, at the very first, and we can continue the conversation on Airbnbs and whatever. Yesterday, I posted these in Discord last night. Look at this. S&P. Speculated that right there. Remember? Yesterday, I was like, we were right in here. I was like, this may rally right up to test. There we are. Didn't take long. NASDAQ. Trying to poke through. Can we do it? Then we have this resistance up here if we do. Don't forget. May do that before we can get out of here. If this is going to stick. If we just reverse this today, drop back down, and we get back down in here, this is going to the daily roadmap line. All right. This is very key, this move right here in the next couple days. Very, very key. We need to do this one if we're going higher. And we're going to do this one if we're going lower. Stay on your toes. This is reversal potential. If we do this right here, holy moly, we're probably going to launch off. All right, everybody clear? I mean, this is the most clear chart right now in Q, right here. The most clear. Russell. Ooh, look at that downtrend highs right to it, rejecting a little bit. Big resistance up here. This one might just go flushing on down. Be careful. This one's not chooching with the rest of them. You know, ES trying to break out. NQ pushing through. Russell already rejecting. CL maybe coming back for secondary retest. I'm not sure. Not sure. I would think if this is going to go, we're going to go, but it's into some resistance. Hasn't retraced since right. I mean, look at that. Look at that launch. We kind of shot right up. I mean, little resistance at the roadmap line. Little bit of struggle getting through that downtrend of highs, but that one just shooting off. So oil, not sure. I think we're going long. A lot of stuff indicating we're going up on oil. I've already got a little exposure to it. It's not the highest, bestest looking chart, so I don't have a big position. Gold, look at this. Can we hold this one? Are we going to break it out? Can we hold it? That was a little fake out right there. We held the resistance, shot back up. We'll probably back test it, just like on NQ, before we launch off. SI, look at this. Same situation. Trying to get through. If we confirm this, we may back test it, and then that's the load up point. If we do that on NQ, gold, silver, if we do that, it's probably going to launch. Probably going to launch. Bitcoin holding the downtrend so far. So Bitcoin and ES seem to be riding kind of the same. Maybe, let's hope it's not the Russell. This looks more like the ES chart like there. Right there. See? Need to break through. Got to get through. Then we have the 618. Actually, it's not in the right place. Let's move that over. There. We're right there at the 618. So that's, we tagged it yesterday, tagging it again this morning. If this pushes on through, 105 is kind of the activation level. We get above 105, probably going on up, new highs. Go up at least, I'm thinking at least 125 on this run. 120, 125, somewhere in that neighborhood is going to be my target for this run. Why? Right in there. They were 122. That's it. Like, that's why. It's that 1618 right there. I think we're probably going to see this pop right up here. Maybe retrace again before we can go on up and get the final move. And this consolidation could take us several months. Several months. So I'm looking more like, at this point, we don't have to tag that. It's still a possibility till we get through. But if we're going up, it's probably rally right up here, maybe into late January, February. This consolidation probably take us a while, maybe March, maybe even later. I mean, maybe this sits sideways for 4 or 5 months, possibly. Could be super boring. Everything Bitcoin's dead. And then all of a sudden we get this final little pop. Maybe come up just shy of the target. And do one more. Out there in the late summer, possibly in October. September, October. Right up there. We'll see. That's what it's looking like if we're going to break out. If we're not going to break out, if we go down, it's going to... If we actually go down here, then it'll be a whole thing that we got to work through over, longer duration. So you got to stay kind of frosty. Put it in, I guess, a military term. Stay frosty, my friends. Keep on your toes. Watch for the breakout. If we can break out, cool. If we don't, well, bummer. This one's still kind of cooking. We're not even up to the trend line here. DXY. Get a little pop today, but it's probably on the, we may do a little 618 retrace and then flush on down. I think we're probably heading back to the roadmap line, but still possible we stretch the highs on up to that 111 area right up there. It's possible this makes another few of those. Don't really expect us to pop out above 111. If we do, we're kind of changing up the target a little bit, but I expect that to be a significant resistance that we don't just pop through. For now, this could be the high. I've said that a few times. This looked like we were going to rally down, but we turned it and burned it. We saved it and right up in here. Sometimes it takes the alternate path. NKD still sitting sideways. Still expect this to stay in here until we can break out or break down. So what do I expect it to do? Sideways until we break out or down. It's just the way it is. Now the list was quite a bit shorter today, so we'll get ripping through that. I go pull everything in the pre-market moving up $2 or more, put it on the gainers list, down $2 or more, put it on the decliners list, and we talk about it and look for opportunities. So Sezzle, this is a buy now, pay later type of thing. Chase, JP Morgan really cracking down on the ability, JP Morgan kind of put the hurting. I think that's what we saw right here. And maybe, not that it didn't need a retrace, but we saw the same retrace, and JP Morgan all of a sudden said, hey, you can't use our credit cards for buy now, pay later. No matter the system, whether it's PayPal, Affirm, Sezzle, you can no longer use our credit cards for buy now, pay later. We feel like that's a higher risk of taking loss because it's extending credit where we've already established how much credit people have. You're taking the credit that we give them and making it bigger. And we don't like that. So we don't want you to use Chase anymore. And then funny enough, I started getting all these emails about, hey, this transaction you made on your Amazon card is available for extended payments. So they saw the buy now, pay later. The real story, they saw that taking business away from them, skimming money off the top. They're like, we're just going to put that in house and make it so, make a policy so that other people can't do it and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Stupid. Anyway. Roadmap bounce. Get above that 618. Go cruising on up. People are struggling. Business is hopping. 538. Upside for Sezzle. ASML. I'm still in the boat that I think we're going down. As long as we're under the roadmap line. It's going to take a break above with some bullish price action, which this is not yet bullish price action to me. Going to take some move up for that to get going. With the regulatory environment right now, U.S. government Biden trying to throw out the the bans on chip exports and stuff like that all before he gets out of office here on Monday. It's really creating a weird environment in chips and technology. Market doesn't quite know how to digest this. These people, if you didn't know, they make chip fabs, which are fabricators for semiconductors. They make the equipment that you make chips with, basically. So they're struggling a little bit. Their country outlawed where, basically he said you can only send them to these certain countries. So they limited, the Netherlands is where this is from, NV. The Netherlands said, hey, you can only export these to certain countries. So all of a sudden that created a pullback, limited the market, and I don't think it's done yet. I don't think we've shaken this correction out yet. It's possible we rally up here and then do a bigger down also. That's still in the cards right there. If we break above the roadmap line on that daily chart, watch for that. I just don't think this is all played out yet. And if you look at Trump and Elon and Vivek, they're kind of in that same boat too. Protectionist. That's the whole thing. Tariffs aren't about making other people pay. They're a protectionist policy. They protect. I mean, it's almost like giving everybody that makes stuff in America a subsidy, except we don't call it a subsidy. We call it a tariff because people that make it cheaper other places, now we bump that price up. It's essentially like giving a subsidy to anybody in America that makes stuff that competes with anything that's made foreign. And putting tariffs on stuff that there are no U.S. made options is just absolute ridiculous. So it's just that, as some people say, it's just a tax on Americans. Well, it's just a subsidy and we pay for it one way or another because we're buying the products. Like whether we buy it U.S. made or we buy it foreign made, we're buying the products. If you artificially up the price of a foreign made product, they made it cheaper than we can make it here. Now, the U.S. made product ups their price to be at or just slightly below the protectionist price. That's the real way tariffs work. All right. It's a protectionist practice, and it's essentially a subsidy. As they keep screwing with that stuff, I think this may flush on down. That's my kind of theory, working theory, the story behind. I mean, sometimes I like stories. We all like stories, right? KLAC, still a downtrend, coming up into resistance right there. If we can get through it, we can go on up, possibly 949. TSM, maybe topped out. Needs a retrace, but doesn't have to retrace. They reported earnings today, basically in line. Slightly under what they thought for estimates, but basically in line, popping, sitting there at the target. Could go on up to 237, but look best with another retrace, just like we had back here. NVMI. Let's see, let's just chart this a little differently. That high, that low. Probably going on up to 262, 277 at this point. It looked like it was going to go on down, so this could possibly outperform. Almost the same. 280 might be this area right here. Charting it two different ways. That area looks like where it might find resistance and take a retrace before we can go on up to possibly that 320 area. Netflix, a nice little bounce, but this is probably going to do. I mean, look how long it's been. Roadmap line test was back here in August. Even if we go up, might find resistance in that 618, right around 900. Looks like 896, 916. So right in there, is it gonna be a resistance? So like Mario, I think it needs a retrace to clean that up. So many of these charts kind of look like that, but it doesn't mean if NQ breaks out, we can push the stuff in the red line here. AMAT, right up to test the roadmap line again. Is that 5 waves? Maybe. Maybe. If it is, guess what? We probably are about played out. Could go a little higher. Probably going to see a 618 retrace. Hold right there. Turn higher. And that would be cha-ching. Good place to get in. I mean, you could buy here if you wanted to. Risk is lower. If that sets up right there. It's not set up yet. That move, that move, that move. Potentially sets it up to go test this bigger 618 level. Right in here. Oop, hit the wrong button. Wrong tool. Right in here. Potential to go right up in there. That's if we do this. I'm not ever, I mean, rarely am I perfectly right, and that's exactly what we do. Sometimes it is, and sometimes when those happen, I make some money. So we'll see if that one plays out. AVGO, still waiting for that to retrace. I mean, can it break out and keep going higher? Absolutely. Retesting the downtrend of highs so far, and it looks undone, like unfinished. All right, that's, if you look at that right there, 1, 2, 1, 2, it just looks unfinished. You know, especially compared to just compare the price action that we just saw on AMAT. Look, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, down into that deeper push, right? So we made this first move down, that retrace. We got that deeper move. Now we're seeing, now it's like, now what's happening? So AMAT is running with, I mean, not AMAT, what was it? AVGO, sorry. AVGO didn't make that lower low. We need that one more flush. Then we can come up, try to break out. Doesn't have to hit the roadmap line. SYM. Still in a downtrend. Be careful. MDB. I'm not sure this is done on the downside. Now, it could be a measured bounce. That's a vicious retrace right there. Very overlapping move up. Turned down at the 618. Came down. Did not make a lower low. I'm very cautious. This may make one more flush to a lower low right in that area right there. Just below that one right there. Then do a retrace, do a move up and that type of thing. That's what I want to see right now, because this looked too perfect for going lower. And it could come all the way down in here, or even down in here, before it finds that support. And it's possible that due to this and this, that we extend this on down in here too. So MDB, not the great opportunity at the moment. I just don't feel like that's a huge opportunity right now based on the muddy price action. Welcome for other opinions, but that's just not the best right now. SMH, very choppy, very nasty sideways. Did not hit any extensions. We gotta trade fire off, and it's still open. Right there, fired off. Been a few weeks ago now, back in early December, and it just keeps chopping everybody up. Almost got the target, missed. All the way back down to the roadmap line. Can we get it this time? I don't know. 90% of the time this works. 8.8 profit factor. If you can't see it behind me, right there you go. We'll see if it works out. 10% of the time it fails. Doesn't have to work this time. CRWD has the bigger retrace potential to break on up 440, 480, somewhere in that zone. Maybe even bigger run since it got all the way down near the 50%. If it did the measured bounce type thing, we could see prices all the way up in this area on up in here. It'd be pretty wild. 600. CAMT resistance right there. We get above that. Probably going on up to 155. First solar, still below the roadmap line. Even though we're on the poppers list, we may continue down. I was expecting this to drop on down to this 150 area and find support. So we may see a fast flush, especially if Trump talks smack about green energy or anything like that, or Elon or any of those people. Say anything about subsidies for green energy, we may see this flush really quickly, make a bottom, and then it might be a good opportunity. FTAI. Wow. Well, that one probably finished its correction. First move down, retrace, touch this 1618 yesterday, starting to bounce. Looking for basically that high, that low. Yeah. The next push up puts it right into the target up there. So watch for this to pop back above 140. Could push on up to that 196, 213, 270 area. Be pretty nice. Not sure what the news was. Short seller acquisitions, Muddy Wars, short on company, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Just FUD. TSMX, 2x bulls on TSM. If that one's launching off, well, that one's going higher, but be careful. If TSM retraces, 2x leverage cuts both ways. Be careful on leverage right there. DO1U is a choppy hot mess of sideways. I just stay away from that. And not for me. SOXX, all of these semiconductors ETFs are all kind of looking like this choppy sideways mess. SMH, SOXX, USD, all kind of choppy sideways. This one's drifting higher at least a little bit. And then SOXL, the leverage one, is in the basement, potentially consolidating under the roadmap line and going to break lower. Ugh, that would look pretty horrible. So be careful. The opportunity. AI. The narrative last year was AI. AI. We don't usually. GLP-1 drugs was kind of the only narrative that kept going for, and it wasn't even a big news item. But this one kept going for several years. It was kind of like the unsaid bullish thing here. It kicked off back here and ramped and ramped and ramped and ramped. This was all people knew about these new drugs. These new Ozempics and Wegovys and Zepbounds and all that stuff. That was the play. All right. Usually we get a much shorter narrative. Like AI usually only stays, the hype usually only stays for a few months. Like AI lasted for a while. Took a lot of these semiconductors, stocks and stuff like that rapidly higher. Nvidia even rapidly higher. Now the narrative, we're going to go through another narrative. Over here, this was all on crypto miners, right? Oh, crypto winner. That was on crypto miners too. Crypto miners was a 2-cycle move. AI probably going to reach a point where investor fatigue, we're just sick of hearing about it. Retrace, find a nice support, maybe down here, and then we go higher again. Same on all the semiconductor stuff. Already seeing some fatigue here. So just be careful. Quantum computing, that kind of came and went pretty quick too, right? See if I can get that correct ticker. Oh, cool. QUBT. That was a pretty fast cycle from October right up through December. Now, looking like the bubble pattern played out, right? Probably see some consolidation in here, and then right like that. All these basically look the same to me. If you're lucky enough to pick it up back here, cool. I looked at this as the whole sector is a vaporware dumpster fire. I mean, look at that. 1 for 200 reverse split back here. Prior highs. We just came right back up to the prior highs. It's just a classic bubble bounce on this stuff. All the algorithms are theoretical. All the equipment, vaporware. Be careful. Be careful, be careful. TSMU, that's a 2x leverage on TSM. Another one, TSMX, LRCX, that's stuck under the roadmap line. Be careful. It's just consolidating, gosh, for almost 6 months under the roadmap line. Danger, danger, danger. Bill, I would expect that to retrace, possibly even go lower, but we're into that resistance there. TER. Watch out for that to turn back down. And SpaceX supposedly has a launch today. They've postponed it a couple times, so they may postpone it again. If you're interested in get a piece of SpaceX, check this baby out right here. Nice potential. They listed on here. Their number one holding is actually SpaceX private equity, 9%. Doesn't show up on here because it's not publicly listed. They have like 9.5% of their assets in SpaceX private equity. So that's pretty cool. I actually bought some of this. You know, just letting everybody know. I've had a knack for. I bought about 8. I guess it's 8. I bought 8 upcoming technologies. This is kind of a mix, if you will. Not just SpaceX, but I bought like 8 companies. I've hit 1 out of 8. One turned $500 into $26,000 for me. The other ones all kind of drifted off to 0. The whole goal is to put a small amount of money at risk, potentially turn that into a larger, much larger amount of money, outperform the market. This is in a little bit of a downtrend. Doesn't have enough candles for any kind of price action here, but it is a unique, has that private equity component in here. So if it's something that you're interested in, right there. If you're just more traditional, T-Mobile partnering with Starlink, this looks like a retrace, and we may go higher. They released the beta test on direct-to-cell phone with T-Mobile. So, interesting stuff. TER, looks like that wants to go lower again. Be careful. If we can get above that gap down zone there, could pop and go higher. That target right up here off the screen, 174, 185 area. ARM, I'm still in the camp. This is going to go lower. First move down, retrace, held pretty tight on that 618 area. Resistance, resistance, resistance. We're drifting lower here. If NVIDIA, if AI kind of gives it up, we may see this back in this zone. And it could even go lower, but so be careful out there. ARQQ, potential bounce off the roadmap line, that high, that low, break through the gap down. 62 on the upside. Ollies. Ooh, look at that. We retraced. That high, that low. If we can break back above 110, looking for 123, 127. DXCM. Stuck right here at the roadmap line. Watch for a retrace of some sort. If we can hold a higher low, potentially bounce through. I don't know. PTIR, leverage PLTR. PLTR needs to, looks best if it retraces to the roadmap line. Doesn't have to, but this could, watch for this. Watch for this. Either a 618 retrace, or if it's a bubble pattern, we start getting this, and then we flush. And if we do that, we got to watch for that support at the roadmap line, because it could do that. Come back down to this kind of level. Ouch. Be careful, all right? This is a cautionary. Is AI played out for now? I don't know. EL. Resistance. Then bust down or breakout. I don't know. Coin flip there at this point. MS. Looks like that is going to get another move down. To me, that is banking, financials. That looks like first move down, 3-wave up. Potential for that to happen right there. Be very, very careful. Came in with good earnings, beating 30% on the upside, 8% on the revenue, beating on the top, beating on the bottom. Nice beat. But that could play out and result in a bigger down. NVIDIA keeps firing the warnings that this can drop out bigger. And okay, so maybe NVIDIA doesn't drop out, but this pays a crazy big dividend and creates some sort of dropout. So just be careful, all right? LTH sitting at the, golly, hit that prior target and did a prompt retrace. Looks like next upside 28, maybe 31. Marvell chips, not superheroes, sitting at resistance, consolidating. If it pops on through, maybe up to up to 177. Maybe. That would be kind of the pattern I would expect. It's just classic price action type stuff. A-Lab, resistance there, support down here. We'll see what happens. Doesn't have enough candles to really do much. USD, like I said, just kind of a sideways chop. Slightly drifting higher on that one. Oracle, back to the roadmap line. If we can break above, we got the gap fill. 204 on the upside. QMCO, watch for the resistance at the gap fill. It might need a third move. Like first move, second move, might need a third move. Yeah, I would be careful of that right there if I was chasing that. And that's quantum stuff, right? So also it could just go, could just be bubbling. You know, that's two different patterns on that stuff. Looking for the same result, which is lower. Be careful chasing quantum. NVIDIA bouncing slightly, didn't touch the roadmap line. 618 resistance. Basically, the highs and lows are in the same place, so still the same resistance zone, right around 142, 144. If we hold that, it can make a third move down, come back down in this area, and go for another breakout higher. It looks like it's topping one way or another. Like, is the top here and here, or do we make one that's a little higher? Then we do the bigger retrace. Eventually, we're doing a bigger retrace. Today, tomorrow, next week, I don't know. NVIDIA, again, with leverage. Holding, barely holding on to that higher low. Decliners, UNH, bouncing off the roadmap line. Watch for that to come on down. Now, is this 5 down? Or was that the first move down, the retrace, and we get the third move down? I'm not sure. Unclear. Lower is the name of the game, but how much lower? Might be somewhere right in here. Still about 20% downside right there. Be careful. ELV. Sit down here. And we may see bigger flush there too. Meta. And maybe we go for another high. Chopping, chopping, chopping. I think it's funny. Zuckerberg and Bezos, you know, they see the writing on the wall here. We got to be Trump's buddy for the next 4 years. Got to play nice. You can see it. I mean, it's like blatantly obvious. This looks like we're going to finish up that and then maybe pop or maybe pop. Pop down or pop up. I don't know. Humana. Potential to roll on down further. That's been beat down and beat down and beat down. Ugh, man. Healthcare. I guess everybody getting a little concerned that Trump's going to do something to healthcare. That seems to be what the story is here. Between UNH, Humana, Cigna, PNC, back to the roadmap line. Beating on the top, beating on the bottom, but dipped right back down there. Potentially going to pop. That high, that low. If we get above the 618, looks like 220, possibly 225. Targets. Jim Cramer, who keeps buying Target? His tweet the other day, he was like, who keeps buying Target? Rejected off of that. 3 waves up. Might need a lower low to finish this up. Might. So we had the first move down off this high. This retrace. We touched in a point where we could make a reversal. Did a 618 retrace. If we're going higher, we'll break back through the roadmap line and probably come up into this zone right here where we retest this prior high. May get a consolidation back down to the roadmap line again before we can go higher. That looks like what might happen. In fact, I should draw it on there with lines that are going to stay and see if I get that right. I'm just interested at this point. Do I get this right? Might be so obvious it actually works. I don't think Target's actually like the people that own and run and work for Target. I don't think they're interested in running this into the ground. I think they're interested in turning the company around and making money. That would be the path if that's actually going to happen. And turnarounds in stocks typically lead about 6 to 9 months before the news really starts being better about a company. So BA already starting to try to turn here. We're holding the roadmap line really tightly. We break back higher. It sets up the path for the next several years to go higher, possibly all the way up to like 600 on this next move. It'd be a really optimistic target, but that could be like cruising for the next little while. Prudential. Stuck. How much risk do they have to the California stuff? I'm seeing numbers like 15,000 structures gone, but possibly upwards of 70 to 80% of them completely uninsured, or at least partially uninsured. Underinsured, I guess, would be the right word. If they're going to take a giant risk or loss on fires, that may be first move down and next move down. Toyota Motors glanced off the perfect place to make a lower low. 1, 2, 3. Look at this. Look at this. First move up. Retrace. Third move up. Right off of that perfect level. Usually results in continuation lower. That's what that looks like. Data dog, retracing, roadmap line still where we're probably heading. TXN, bounced off the roadmap line, probably going to make another leg lower. NTES, trying its darndest to hold on to that breakout. If we hold on to it, breakup of that, probably going on up, possibly to new highs. This whole big correction could be done. We could be looking at a big giant move, possibly all the way up here to 300. Pretty wild ride right there on NTES. All right, that was all the list. Let's see if I can find a bonus trade really quickly. I was running behind this morning. Had a couple questions and just didn't get my act together. So let's pull it up and look at the list here. Jump down to the bottom. Market's red. I'll pull it over and we can just kind of run through the list here. I have a tool that looks at almost 4,000 stocks every day. Here's the long list here, 24 tickers. So if you want to go try to find something. XLE, not bad. 75%, 2.25. 80%, 1.5. 60% on negative. 76%, almost 2. 59% negative. Anything under 1 is negative, but -1 means infinity, which means 100% win rate. So, and that's only on 13 trades. Maybe. That one's on 2 trades. Not reliable. 72% negative profit factor. Profit factor under 1. And under 2. 1.5. Ooh, 3. That one's looking better. OYH, that's oil. We're seeing oil show up quite a bit. 87. 1.5. Never won. 2 trades. That's interesting. It's a 100% loss rate right there on that one. You might bet against that one working. That one might go lower. KLXE. 75, 1.6. 57.6. 69, 1.0. 68, 1.0. 60%, 0.68. 63%, 1. 69%. If you want access to this, Premarket Trading Labs gets access to this every single day. That's how you get it. 60%, 0.6, 65, 1.5, 50%, 0.6, and 100% losses there. No trades right there on that one. So the best one, it's kind of a toss-up between OIH. That was a pretty good one. Although the thing here, I don't like the fact this is like that little poke was like this price action was already lower and this made a lower low. So like David Skaggs, if you're watching this, when others talk about the price action, this being the lowest low on this chart, without zooming out and looking at it and seeing if there's something substantially different, like this was a big rally into this, that being a lower low and in a downtrend with the roadmap line down, while it still can work and still has a nice historic rate, that's one that I would say would be less likely to work out. Just based on my own personal experience watching markets and charts with the downtrend going, I think it might be down. Like I think it might fail. There's a possibility. All right. You've asked like several times, like what kind of price action? These ones that have an uptrend going, they were above, they bounced down, just holding right on it, popping up. That looks more worthy of a trade, that kind of pattern. All right, that doesn't mean that particular one was going to work or not work. VDE, that's a pretty nice, this is a very neutral looking chart. Roadmap line pretty flat, ramped up, went substantial, that's kind of balanced on it, right? Like the entry just above the roadmap line. That's not kind of my favorite entry either. These ones that make a high, come down, just kind of hold right at the roadmap line and then bust up higher. Looks a little better, but that one, historically a loser. This one, a downtrend, probably going to fail on that one, even though an 80% win rate in the past. XLE, roadmap line much flatter than the OIH. Let's go take a look at XLE. Let's see what we got, XLE. Gotta click on this chart. Fingers go in the right order. And it's frozen. Cool. There it goes. Yeah, so zooming out a little bit, this one has more of an uptrend going. A bigger bounce that didn't play out. And now we're in a secondary bounce for a potential move out here. Getting to be a little bit choppy when you look at this. Look, hasn't really been able to break out. Hasn't really been able to break down. Didn't make it all the way up there on the last one. I don't know. It could work. It doesn't require any kind of crazy breakout to get to the target. The current target. This high, this low. Right up there. 100.12. Now these trades typically last about 33 trading days on average. So it might last 66 days, might last 99 days. I think it'll play out faster, but I've been wrong before on time. Time is the hardest part of this whole game. So something like that, you know, oh, that's only 70, 199 right there. 146 days. So we're looking at June. If you're going to play this on options, probably ought to have something out to June. That would look something like lots of options. So something like June. And maybe you want to go to July, give it a little extra time. I don't know. The target, we're looking for 100. Possible to play something in the 96, 97. Possibly do a spread. You could do a spread from to a 94, 100 spread for $2. Could do a 93, 100 spread, $2, $2 risk, $7 upside. Or I mean a $5 upside, 2 to 1. You get your money back, $2 back. Not bad. Not bad potential. There's a couple ways to play that if you wanted to. OIH, let's just check that chart out. Like I said, you see how this is a downtrend, right? Like, and it broke down below the wedge here. It was holding these high, you know, uptrend of lows. Broke down, rejected, lower low. Now, that's all great and all, but we run this. It doesn't take a higher high to get to the target. So that does, like I said, this doesn't negate this working out necessarily, that it has a kind of a poor chart setup. It can still get that 320 area without having to break out to new highs. But that price action being the majority of it under the roadmap line gives me that feeling that down might be the way this is heading for Vanek Oil Services. All right. This was helpful. Let me know in the chat or let me know in Discord later. Let me know. All right. Bias for the day. Cautiously looking for that breakout. Although right now, we're holding it. Potentially rejecting. Very cautious. Very, very cautious here. Turn that red. If that holds and we reject, we take this candle back from yesterday. That's the target right there. Already rejecting. This might be heading down to the roadmap line. Don't do that. That's not really what I wanted to happen. This will probably retrace one more time, back down. Not good. That may have played out yet again, and we go down. I might liquidate. I don't know. Might liquidate my leverage one more time. Getting sick of this choppiness. Be careful out there, everybody. Trading in the chop is a trader's market. It's difficult. Difficult. Be careful out there. Stay safe. Count your save, maybe your own, you know. And remember, have a plan. Have a plan when you're trading, because it's not being wrong that costs you the money. Okay, I bought Bitcoin down here. It came up. I was hoping for it to break up. It's not doing that. Here's the eject point. Get out. Don't stay wrong. We stay wrong. We double down over here, and it keeps going, and then you're big in trouble, and you can take a giant loss if you sell out here. Don't buy high and sell low. That gets you in trouble. Have a plan to buy down here when we get here, if we get here, and then ride it up. All right? Have a great time, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. 9:15 tomorrow morning. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the button if anything I said was helpful, beneficial today.